The coppery scent of blood was the first thing I registered, thick and cloying in the damp air of the boathouse. The second was the weight of his hand, surprisingly heavy, clamped around my wrist. Dante Volkov's breathing was a ragged, wet sound in the sudden quiet. A beautiful stain, crimson and wide, blossomed across the front of his pristine white shirt, spreading from the place where I had buried the knife. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, were fixed on my face, searching for something I no longer possessed. That night, he rasped, a trickle of blood escaping the corner of his mouth. In the rain, when you took a bullet for me, he coughed, a shudder racking his powerful frame. Our child, his grip tightened, a final, desperate plea. Was any of it real? Vivian, just tell me that was real. For years earlier, I became the most cherished possession of Viridian City's most dangerous man in a single year. For years together, and everyone in his circle knew I loved him to the point of self-destruction. I'd walked through fire for him, taken a bullet for him, and mastered the art of being the perfect, obedient woman who understood his every whim. They all believed I would be his wife. They called me Luna, the she-wolf to their alpha. They called me Mrs. Volkov in hushed, respectful tones, until his first love came back, until, in a moment of life or death, he shoved me in front of a gun to save her. What he didn't know was that I had just received a positive pregnancy test. That very morning, the bullet ripped through my abdomen. I miscarried, hemorrhaging on the cold pavement. That was the first time I saw him, a man forged in ice and cruelty, break down and sob. He knelt on the ground, cradling me not to die, begging me to forgive him. He swore he loved me, only me, but I didn't love him, not one bit, because the man I truly loved was a cop. And 5 years ago, on the night before our wedding, Dante Volkov had put a bullet through his head. On the 4th anniversary of becoming Dante Volkov's mistress, he told me he wanted to marry me. The reason he gave was the same old litany. I was sensible, obedient, and I bore a striking resemblance to his first love, Penelope Marsden. I had always known my place. I was a substitute. For 4 long years, on every night he was haunted by her memory. He would pull me into a tangled mess of limbs and desperation. He once told me that my face, flushed and tear-streaked in the throes of passion, was when I looked most like her. His love, if you could call it that, was never truly mine. My friends tried to console me, pointing out that even when he was head over heels for Penelope, he never once mentioned marriage. But now, he wanted to marry me. Everyone around him, including his most hardened lieutenants, insisted that Dante loved me. He just didn't know it himself. Dante would make me breakfast. He would wake me with a soft murmur against my hair. He tolerated my every whim and spoiled me with endless patience. When I offhandedly mentioned wanting a proper proposal, he spent weeks meticulously planning it himself. Like a teenager fumbling through his first love, everyone was certain I was destined to be his wife. For a moment, I was the most envied woman in all of Viridian City. Then, just before the wedding, Penelope Marsden returned, and on that very same day, I found out I was pregnant. And on that very same day, Dante Volkov decided he didn't want me anymore. He first met Penelope when she was working at the Crimson Veil, a high-end private club that catered to the city's elite. Her mother's gambling addiction had apparently devoured their family fortune, and her father had vanished, leaving her to support a younger brother. Desperate, she had turned to the one place where a beautiful woman could make a fortune overnight. She entered our private suite with a line of other dancers, and the moment her eyes met Dante's, I saw it, a flicker of shock, followed by a sharp, desperate lowering of her head. She clearly hadn't wanted him to recognize her, but fate, or perhaps the cruel club manager, had other plans. As he was leaving, the manager shoved her forward, and she stumbled, landing right beside Dante. Dante, a cigarillo dangling from his lips, had his eyes closed, his head resting against my shoulder. Get the hell away from me, he growled, his voice a low threat. If my woman gets upset, I'll send you to heaven myself. A chorus of sycophantic coos and sighs rippled through the women around us, all marveling at how utterly besotted Dante was with me. Penelope's hands clenched into fists, she tugged at her skimpy dress, her gaze flicking towards me for a split second. I saw it clearly, resentment and pure, undiluted envy. A woman next to her, perhaps an old rival, suddenly grabbed her arm and pulled her to the center of the room. Penelope, she chirped with malicious glee, the gentlemen want to see some pole dancing. You're the best we've got. Show them what you can do. The name hung in the air, instantly silencing the room. Dante's eyes snapped open, the hand intertwined with mine tightened, his knuckles digging into my bones. The pain was sharp, electric. Humiliation, or perhaps shame, sent a tremor through Penelope's body. Tears welled in her eyes, and she turned to flee, but Dante was faster. He shot out a hand, grabbing her arm and yanking her back onto the seat beside him. The next second, his fingers wrapped around her throat. He pulled her close, his voice a venomous whisper, teeth gritted. Penelope, didn't I tell you? If I ever saw your face again, I would kill you. Everyone in this room knew the story. Penelope Marsden was Dante Volkov's first love, and everyone knew how spectacularly it had ended. At the peak of their romance, during a petty argument, Penelope had stormed out and climbed into the bed of Dante's then best friend. She'd even filmed it, sending the video to Dante with a taunting message, detailing every way his friend was a better lover. That year, Dante nearly drank himself to death, ending up in the hospital a dozen times. He almost died on my operating table. I was the surgeon who saved his life. After that, Dante never mentioned her name again. No one dared to. We all assumed he hated her with every fiber of his being, but I knew better. He had never let her go, not even after she had shredded his pride and left him for dead. Someone in the crowd jeered, "Where's your man, Penny? Can't he support you? Or did he send you out to earn his keep?" The words were vile. Even I flinched. I frowned and shot the man a warning glare. He immediately shut up. I hesitated, then gently tugged on the sleeve of Dante's jacket. Whatever the reason, it can't be easy for a woman to do this kind of work. Please, don't make it harder for her. Dante looked at me, his eyes cold as chips of ice. This is between her and me. It's not your place to interfere. I froze. My hand dropped from his sleeve as it burned. A flicker of triumph, or maybe mockery, crossed Penelope's face as she saw his reaction. A small, secret smile played on her lips. Her gaze on me was pure contempt. She raised a trembling hand, her tears now flowing freely, and caressed his cheek. "Dante," she whispered, her voice breaking, "you can't marry a a woman you don't love just because you miss me. It hurts me. The thought of it is killing me. The tears fell, big and heavy, splashing onto the back of his hand. Dante, I've always wanted to tell you what you saw back then. With him, he forced me. He was always forcing me. And that's why Dante's brow furrowed, his grip on her throat loosened, the murderous rage from moments ago vanishing like smoke. Penelope seized the opportunity, collapsing into his arms, her sobs shaking her entire body. He didn't push her away. Her story was impossible to verify. The man in question had been tortured to death by Dante years ago, but it didn't matter. Dante's heart was softening, or perhaps, he simply no longer cared about the truth. In front of everyone, he gently stroked her earlobe, his voice a low, soothing murmur. Shoo, don't cry. It's okay. I'll take you home. A hushed whisper cut through the silence. So, if the Dawn and Penelope are back together, what happens to Vivian? A contemptuous scoff answered. What do you think happens? She's out. The original is back. A substitute has to know when to pack her bags and disappear. Dante heard them. He said nothing. Before, he would have ripped out the tongue of anyone who dared to speak of me with such disrespect. But now, Penelope was back. The woman he truly wanted to cherish, the woman he truly wanted to love, was right in front of him. Why would he care about me? That night, Dante brought Penelope back to our home. The home that had been, until that moment, ours alone. I walked behind them. Before stepping inside, Penelope glanced back at me over her shoulder. She clung to Dante's arm, her voice dripping with false concern. Dante, maybe we should let Ms. Devereux find a new place tomorrow. It's so late now. It's not safe for a woman to be out alone at night. Look at her, already so eager to kick me out. I smiled at her, and in the next second, I pulled the SIG Sauer P226 from my handbag and pressed its cold muzzle against her forehead. You don't get to make the rules here. Penelope's face went white with terror. She looked helplessly at Dante. He didn't speak immediately. Instead, he pulled a cigarillo from his pocket, lit it, and leaned against the doorframe. He reached out and gently pushed my gun down. Then his hand moved to my neck, his touch surprisingly warm. Vivian, he said softly, I told you, the gun is for protection, not for playing tough in my house. Go home, he said. He led Penelope inside, leaving me standing alone at the door, abandoned, forgotten. I knew I should leave, but it wasn't time yet. I had to marry Dante Volkov. It was the entire point. So I swallowed my pride, buried my emotio.